You're mic'd up, so don't swear. When we go, I can't speak English today. Welcome to another episode of Nailed It. Today I'm recreating one of Australia's favorite snacks and a personal favorite. Twisties. Taste test. I need Lucy. I need your palate.
My educated palate.
So again, have you had Twisties before?
I'm not really experienced. So the equivalent in England is Watsits.
Oh yeah?
So same principle.
In South Africa, knickknacks. I think they're even better than Twisties, but we won't argue about that now. So we're gonna try and recreate the cheese flavor. There's also the chicken flavor, which is quite popular, which I have a cheat and show you how you can do the chicken flavor as well. But I think we'll concentrate on recreating the cheese flavor. Let's get cooking. So first of all, I'm gonna start with making that incredible cheese coating, which gets stuck on your fingers the whole time as well. So for this, we need to create a really dry cheese. So gonna go with the red Leicester and then also some Parmesan for some sharpness. But when I was testing this recipe, I was kind of figuring out a way how to get cheese into such a fine and dry crumb. And so we're gonna have to dehydrate that cheese and get rid of all the fat in it. I had this small moment of genius in the kitchen where I figured out a way to split all of the fat from the cheese and it allows me to dehydrate it. So what we're gonna have to do is get a really good non-stick fry pan and then tumble all of your cheese into there. We'll do each cheese one at a time. And then as we melt this over medium heat, what you'll see is the fat will start to split out of the cheese and we're gonna separate the two. So I've just got a bowl of very, very cold water with some ice in it. And as you can see here, when we're cooking this cheese, it's splitting from the oil. So if you just keep on tilting the pan slightly and pushing the cheese up, we'll keep the solids at one end and get the oil at the other end of the pan. And that way we can go in, put the solids into the ice water and it'll solidify and separate the oil from it. Okay, so we got this cheese, which is now all flavor and all milk solids and no more fat. And that way we're gonna be able to dehydrate that much easier. We're gonna repeat it and do the same process with the Parmesan. Montage. We'll take that red Leicester and it's already quite crumbly. So with that, we can just get it onto a tray. Okay, and then with your Parmesan, it's come in a bigger clump, so we're just gonna grate that. Nobody has a dehydrator at home. We don't even have one in the test kitchen. So I'm gonna use the oven as a dehydrator. And if you just have the setting on 60 degrees fan forced, we're gonna put this cheese into the oven and then that low temperature is gonna act like a dehydrator over the course of about 4 to 6 hours. And just keep on checking on the cheese until it goes very, very dry. It's not gonna burn, it's not gonna even cook it. It's just gonna take all that excess moisture out of the cheese and that way we'll be able to pulverize it. So 60 degrees fan forced into the oven. So the result you'll see is perfectly dry and crisp. Like, listen to the mic. That's crunchy cheese. All the moisture's gone, and now we can pulverize that down to a powder for the cheese coating of the Twisty. I'm gonna use a blender. That way that small blade is gonna go at high speed and create a finer powder. Pray and blitz. Smells pretty cheesy. I'm gonna go in with some turmeric and some paprika. Turmeric's there pretty much just for the color, for that intense oranginess. Oranginess, is that a word? Oranginess is now a word. And also some smoked paprika, just for a bit more of that flavor. And some salt, a decent amount of salt. And then just scrape down those sides, and then we'll blitz it again until it's really fine. If you look here already, that color is pretty close. This is actually probably a little bit more luminescent also. We put a lot of cheese, but it's really cheesy. You can just get into a bowl and we're done with the cheese coating. The chips are actually made out of corn and rice cereal or rice flour. So there's only 2 real ingredients and then water. So the system when they make them in the factory is those ingredients, the cornmeal and the rice meal, get mixed with some water. They get put through an extruder where there's different atmospheric pressures and heat, and basically it creates the cup and the shape of the Twisty. We're gonna have to do it a bit differently as well because our only technology is the pan and a food processor. So we're gonna create a bit of a dough and we're gonna lighten it with some baking powder and using wholemeal corn flour. So it's this yellow corn flour. We're just gonna bring some water to a simmer and then gradually add our corn flour and our rice flour. So it's formed a nice dough now, and we're just gonna cook that out for about 3 or 4 minutes, just to take out that raw flavor from the corn and rice meal, and then just remove it from the pan. We're just gonna cool that down completely, and we can blitz it up with the remaining ingredients. So that dough is nice and cold now and solidified. Just go into a food processor with some more corn flour, some baking powder. So I'm using quite a bit of it just to give it a lot of rise when we fry it, and then some more salt. So it's come together in a nice dough. It's still a little bit sticky, but we're gonna use some extra corn flour when we're making the shapes of the twisties, so it'll be all good. So we're gonna start rolling the twisty shapes and then deep frying them. So I'm gonna need some help, please, Lucy, because this is gonna take me too long. So just on a tray, just get a bit more of that corn flour. And then I kind of found just use your hands, and then we just break a piece, get in some of the flour, quite rough, and then make weird sausage shapes.
So I think you should twist it since it's a twisty.
I don't think that's where the name, you know where the name came from? Does anybody know where the name came from, twisty? Is it because it's twisted? So thanks, Lucy, for helping me. Now we're gonna deep fry all of these in batches. We've got the oil at 170 degrees, and only gonna cook them for about 1.5 minutes. You can see they puff up pretty quickly. So the result of the frying is giving us the puff, and then afterwards dehydrating will give us the crunch. And I will say this 1,000,000 times, whenever you're frying anything, always onto a rack, not onto paper towel, because moisture is the enemy of crispiness, and if you have paper towel, it creates moisture, so you just want a rack, and that way it can breathe and dry and remain crispy. And now to get it completely crisp like a twisty, we're gonna dehydrate these chips. So again, into the oven, 60 degrees, fan forced, and we're gonna go for about 6 hours or until they're completely crisp. Listen how crunchy. It's a crunchy chip. So we've got the good shape, we've got the crunch, we've got the cheese. Now we'll marry them together. We'll go with that cheese coating, which is still nice and dry, and then just give them a big toss together. And then just dust them off and into a bowl. So if you want to try some chicken flavored twisties, just a cheese coating, is you can use some chicken flavored soup mix. And you can see here, if you strain out those herbs, you're gonna pretty much get the exact same flavor of a chicken twisty. Okay, I'm gonna need you for a taste test, Lucy. It's passing the first test of having orange fingers.
Nice.
Okay. They do look a tiny bit different from, there's cheese everywhere, the original. Look, these are factory. That's like a very fake one.
Yours looks even more synthetic.
Yeah, it somehow does, even though it's made out of real cheese.
Yeah.
I think it's the turmeric.
Yeah.
But okay, taste this.
Which one first?
Go the OG. Amazing, the best.
Okay.
Cheesier, but in like a weird.
Yeah, these are intense.
They're like even cheesier than these.
Yeah.
Which is, has anybody ever complained that cheese chips are too cheesy? No. So I think these are pretty.
I think you nailed it.
Those, cold glass of beer, that's a pretty good snack.
Yeah.
And it only takes you 2 days to make them. But they are delicious. So if you want the recipe, head to delicious.com.au and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.